Nowhere do you see the dead portrayed more distinctly than at the Museum of the Mummies in Guanajuato, Mexico.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the strangest and creepiest discoveries in history that will have you questioning what else the past is hiding.
The police came and they looked at him and said, well, this may be a murder case, but it's a very cold one.
Number 10, the Atacama Skeleton.
The Atacama Skeleton definitely looks like an alien.
In 2003, a skeleton was discovered in Chile's Atacama Desert. This was no ordinary discovery. Measuring 6 inches long, the skeleton had an elongated skull, hardened bones, and an alien-like appearance. Dubbed Ata, this miniature mummy fueled speculation for years.
And it has 10 ribs when humans are supposed to have 12 ribs.
Some believed it was proof of extraterrestrial life, but DNA analysis revealed it was in fact human. The skeleton belonged to a female fetus. The infant had multiple rare genetic mutations causing dwarfism and premature bone aging. Some of her bones appeared to belong to a person much older than her actual age. This contributed to Ata's otherworldly appearance. What began as an eerie discovery subsequently evolved into a profound tragedy and mystery, making Ata a heartbreaking anomaly.
Those mutations are actually totally alien to us. We've not seen them in humans before, but they're definitely still in a human being.
Number 9, the Tarim mummies.
Extraordinary archaeological discovery in China that dates back nearly 4,000 years.
The shifting dunes of China's Taklamakan Desert gave way to a baffling discovery at the beginning of the 20th century. Archaeologists discovered hundreds of naturally mummified bodies dating back thousands of years. With light-colored hair, elongated faces, and features reminiscent of Europeans, the mummies were clad in plaid wool and felted boots. They are now evidence of ancient migration and cultural exchanges along the early Silk Road. Genetic testing links them with ancient Indo-European peoples.
The well-preserved nature of the mummified bodies allowed archaeologists to conduct modern DNA analyses that determined the ancient travelers were not Chinese.
Buried with tools, musical instruments, and even food, the Tarim mummies compel us to reconsider what we know about ancient global cultures and the extent of history that lies buried beneath the sands. Number 8, the Devil's Footprints. In February 1855, residents of Devon, England awoke to the sight of cloven hoof prints in the snow, stretching nearly 100 miles. The hoof prints were uniformly spaced and walked through walls, over rooftops, and even across rivers. All the evidence seemed to point to a bipedal creature walking in a straight line for miles without deviation. It was as if physical laws didn't bind the owner of the footprints. Some speculated that it might be a hopping mouse, an escaped kangaroo, or badgers, but none of the explanations stuck. Mass hysteria followed. Newspaper reports dubbed them the Devil's Footprints. To this day, the lack of an answer makes the event one of England's most chilling and unexplained winter mysteries. Number 7, the Jivaro shrunken head process.
This is a genuine shrunken head.
Imagine coming across a preserved human head no larger than a fist, eyes sewn shut, and lips bound tight. Not a pleasant sight. That is precisely what early explorers encountered when they came across the census. Created by the Jivaroan peoples of the Amazon rainforest, these shrunken heads were made from the heads of enemies.
To shrink a head, the Jivaro slit the back of the neck and peeled the skin away from the skull.
The grisly post-battle ritual was to harness the spirit of the enemy and compel him to serve the shrinker. There was no chance for the victim's soul to take revenge. Unfortunately, the discovery of the census fueled a black market, leading to forgery and desecration of the indigenous practice. Today, census are haunting relics of cultural expression and exploitation. Number 6, the Smallpox blanket letters. 1763 declares its case for the earliest documentation of biological warfare. During Pontiac's War, British officers under the command of General Geoffrey Amherst devised a nefarious plan. Colonel Henry Bouquet would write to the general suggesting the distribution of smallpox-infected blankets to inoculate the indigenous populations. Even more, Amherst would approve the plan, encouraging Bouquet to, quote, try every method to spread the disease. Discovered in the mid-20th century, the letters paint a chilling picture of the military strategy utilized by the British command. The outcome is debated, but the intent is clear. The letters are a dark stain on the history of Western expansion and a reminder that colonialism was not just about conquest, but also calculated extermination. Number 5. The bog bodies of Northern Europe.
A family of farmers are digging for peat in a remote bog.
One of the diggers hit something hard.
The wetlands of Northern Europe are home to some of the densest peat bogs and human remains. Peat harvesters and farmers first encountered bodies as far back as the 1600s. They assumed the bodies were those of recent murder victims, but these mysterious corpses had an ancient and terrifying heritage.
The police came and they looked at him and said, well, this may be a murder case, but it's a very cold one, so...
Dating between 8000 BC and the Second World War, several presented chilling signs of violent deaths, including slit throats, garroting, and stabbings. Thanks to the unique environmental conditions of the bogs, the bodies did not undergo decomposition. Many were found with hair, skin, and even internal organs intact. Deeply unsettling, bog bodies are archaeological time capsules that have been preserved over millennia in Europe's peat bogs and marshes.
These are the only bodies in Europe where you've got the entire body, you've got the innards, you've got the brain, but most important for me is you've got their facial expressions and they've got real identities.
Number 4. The Devil's Bible.
Would you sell your soul to Satan to avoid a horrific death?
The Codex Gigas was not written but conjured. Legend speaks of a Christian monk who broke his sacred vows and was sentenced to be walled alive. Desperate to survive, he promised to glorify the monastery by writing a book encapsulating all human knowledge in one night. Nearing midnight and doomed to fail, the monk turned not to God, but to the devil. In exchange for his soul, the devil completed the manuscript.
When the monks arrived and unlocked his door the following morning, they were all stunned. Complete on Herman the Recluse's deck was an enormous book, almost as large as the man himself.
As tribute, the monk included a haunting full-page portrait of Satan. While Satan's authorship may be a fantasy, tests to recreate the work have shown that it would take 20 years of constant writing. Filled with exorcism rituals and magic formulae, the Devil's Bible remains shrouded in mystery. Number 3. Babylonian Demon Bowls. In 1888, a team of archaeologists unearthed several small earthenware bowls in the city of Nippur, located in modern-day Iraq. At first sight, the archaeologists knew that these were no ordinary bowls. They were ancient home security systems, not from thieves or the like, but from demons. Buried upside down beneath homes and foundations, the clay vessels were covered in tightly coiled Aramaic or Hebrew inscriptions.
Virtually every home excavated at Nippur, at least the Jewish homes, contained at least one bowl.
These were incantations intended to trap or repel demons, curses, and other malevolent forces. Some bowls featured crude sketches of bound demons, and others even listed their names. Found all over ruins in Iraq and Iran, the Babylonian demon bowls reflect a fascinating and unsettling blend of religion, folk magic, and supernatural paranoia.
Might get 5 bowls made that target all kinds of different demons and different kinds of maladies because, again, redundancy.
Number 2. The facial reconstruction masks of World War I.
Look at the glasses. None of them are for vision. They were for support.
Wars don't just leave psychological scars, but also physical ones too. These injuries are a permanent reminder of the horrors they had experienced, something most veterans wish to forget. When soldiers returned from the front lines of World War I, many suffered from catastrophic facial injuries. Plastic surgery was not available. Instead, artists and sculptors created reconstruction masks.
They made casts of the injured faces, then sculpted attachments that restored the face. These were then used to make a paper-thin copper-plated attachment, which Ladd and others then painted.
These masks were made of copper or tin and molded to fit over the mutilated parts of a soldier's face. functional but highly unsettling. The masks reconstructed expressions frozen in time and metal. They were the early forms of prosthetics, lifelike but uncanny. Treading the line between recovery and trauma, the facial reconstruction masks of World War I symbolized both hope and horror. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Screaming Mummies of Guanajuato.
Nowhere do you see the dead portrayed more distinctly than at the Museum of the Mummies in Guanajuato, Mexico.
A tax crisis in the late 1800s prompted the Mexican city of Guanajuato to impose a burial tax on families, ensuring the long-term burial of their loved ones. Bodies of those who failed to pay the tax were dug up and stored in a nearby building. Thanks to the region's dry, mineral-rich soil, many of these bodies were naturally mummified. What horrified people the most were the expressions of the deceased. From children to women and even babies, the mummies appeared frozen, their mouths wide open, as though they were screaming. Experts believe that these victims may have been buried alive or died in agony. Hosted at the Museo de las Momias, the mummies now occupy a silent gallery of death, despair, and unanswered questions.
Today, the museum is now one of the city's most popular tourist attractions. Our guide tells us some visitors are scared and others find the displays offensive.
From demonic manuscripts to mummified screams, which of these discoveries creeped you out the most? Let us know in the comments.
A natural mummy, preserved by the peat bogs of Northern Europe.